Hi everyone, Fran here. I believe I've developed an emotional connection with this robotic male voice because of Ashley's video. This sexy and funny voice is so great I just fucking can't resist. Ashley's video also inspired me to do this video too. Her channel literally has the top quality of classical rock stuff, so please go and check out her channel. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. So, you want to know about the greatest and best-selling rock band in the history, the Beatles. Let's start from the very beginning. Before the Beatles, there is a band in Liverpool called the Quarrymen. The Quarrymen was formed by a 16-year-old young lad called John Lennon in 1957. Then, John Lennon brought another young lad called Paul McCartney to the band, and Paul McCartney brought another baby lad, George Harrison, to the band. At first, John didn't want George to join them because George is too young. But after knowing George is a talented little bean, John approved him to join at the end. They have played for many occasions like clubs in Liverpool and Hamburg, doing many illegal shits like let George lied about his age to get contact of playing in clubs and set fire in a house. Whoa, look at these mad lads. When I was that young I was probably playing Minecraft by myself. Pathetic. Later, the Beatles met Brian Epstein, who became their manager, babysitter, and most importantly lead them to the top of the world. Then, best drummer in Liverpool Ringo Starr was kidnapped to the Beatles by George with help from John and Paul. Former drummer Pete Best felt bad and left. The band finally became the Beatles we usually know. Sadly, the Beatles broke up in 1970, which will have me cry on it for an hour. But I don't want to ruin the mood for now, so let's move on. This legendary rock band and all their singles and albums are absolutely fucking lit. They are too lit that we're still listening to them and acting like a good old Beatlemania after over half of the century. As a young Beatlemania myself, although I'm not professional as those master Beatlemania senpai, I just want to give you a thoughtful introduction of each members of the Beatles with my careful research and unstoppable passion. Please do not beat the devil out of me.
And just beat the devil out of.
And please tell me in the comment if there are any mistakes.
End of part 1. Intermission. End of intermission. Part 2.
Okay, let's just jump into it again. To begin with, we have the founder of the Beatles, John Winston Lennon. He mainly played rhythm guitar in the Beatles. John may be known as one of the godlike artists and activists of all time who produced music, wrote books, drew artwork and advocated peace and love. I mean, look at him wearing those thick glasses. What an intellectual. But in reality, John is a fucking savage we don't deserve. Here are some proofs of John being a goblin or a savage that roasted everyone real hard.
Very good. It's that easy. All you gotta do is sort of clap your hands. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. Oh. Yes. Yes, yes. Oh, if you're gonna clap your hands, sort of stamp your feet on the floor.
For our last number, I'd like to ask your help. Would the people in the cheaper seats clap your hands? And the rest of you, if you just rattle your jewelry.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Tell me, how did you find America?
Turn left to Greenland.
And yes, I'm secretly wishing John can roast me too. Also, being the main songwriter of the Beatles, John liked writing songs based on his life experience, and no, Imagine wasn't written during John was a Beatle. Let's have a look at some example of John's Beatles songs. In My Life is about his life. Duh. And The Ballad of John and Yoko is about his honeymoon with his wife Yoko Ono. Speaking of Yoko Ono, some fans treated Yoko as main villain who caused the Beatles breakup. But I think it's just one side of the story and those fans are just finding a scapegoat for Beatles breakup, so let's just don't give a damn about it. Apart from the reality-based style song John liked to write, he also wrote a bunch of fucking weird and bizarre songs during the psychedelic Beatles period like I Am the Walrus Goo Goo Gajoob, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Well, we never understand what the lyrics are fucking talking about, such as I'm he as you are me as we are all together. But we all agree that who fucking needs drugs when these songs exist? Unfortunately, John was shot on 8th of December 1980 and died at the age of 40, which I don't want to talk about the detail of it. But in the hospital where he'd been, they played the Beatles song All My Loving after he passed away, and which this one subtle detail get me sob again. We better move on. Overall, John is a badass intellectual and social activist we all have to press F to pay respect. The second member we have in the Beatles is Sir James Paul McCartney. Paul is the songwriting partner of John Lennon. Together they use Lennon-McCartney or McCartney-Lennon as credit to most of the Beatles songs. Even some songs are finished independently. It really makes sense to me because Paul and John are growing up together and influenced by each other in every aspect. Let me put in this way, John and Paul are the soulmate of the century, so their songwriting partnership was indivisible. Okay, let's don't get too deep here in case it slides to a ship's introduction video. Paul mainly played bass in the band, although he was a bit confused about it.
Well, I'm Paul and I play the bass.
Besides, Paul is the charming princess in the Beatles and can easily be prettier and sexier than all of us. In fact, when the fandom found out Pauline is way too hot, some of us can finally said we are all gay for Paul. Notice me, Paul senpai. Moreover, Paul is a perfectionist. A mean-ass perfectionist.
Tell me why. Start again. What did you do then? You made a mistake. I know you did.
I want us to hold your hand. Take one.
Do it slower. No. Shh. Clean beginning now. 1, 2, 3.
Take 9. Here we go.
Love that. Shh. Ready? Shh. Ringo, keep your bit dead. Ringo! We're taping. No, the first one, loud. Attack. The second one, not quite so loud. Just try it. Oh, well, do it anyway. We'll just blast that bit, that one bit. Oh, yeah!
Whoa, this band is so extra chaotic with a perfectionist diva princess. And if someone makes Paul salty, he will toast the fuck out of them with his heavy metal song.
Till I get to the bottom and I see you again. Yeah.
Excuse me, Paul, it fucking choked me, but I'm kind of into it. The most important thing about Paul is, he is a vegetarian since 1970s and he loves animals. Paul had many animals as his pets before. The most well-known pet was this cute chunky sheepdog, Martha. She's Paul's first ever pet, and Paul loved her so much that he wrote a song for her called Martha My Dear, and there are a lot of fluffy moments of Paul with cute animals like this photo of him with Martha and Thisby the cat. And this performance which Paul's playing songs for Grasshopper.
Can you see my little friend? He's called Harold. Hello, Harold.
Oh my god, I think I'm slowly turning to Adrienne from Brooklyn right now.
Paul McCartney, if you are listening, Adrienne from Brooklyn loves you with all her heart. I love you, Paul, and please come to the window.
To conclude, Paul is a gorgeous diva princess and animal rights activist we adore. And one last thing is no. Paul is not dead, and people who believe in Paul is dead theory can get the fuck out of my way. Next, I want to talk about the most underrated member of the Beatles, George Harrison. George is the lead guitarist and youngest Beatle. But it seems a bit suspicious when we notice his vampire fangs. Lol, just kidding. George is often referred as the quiet Beatles. However, we reckon George is more of the busy Beatle instead.
You're a swine. Any George? You're a swine.
Thanks.
It's okay, you can take it. Do you want some sandwiches? We don't eat these. Paul, do you want some sandwiches?
George really cares food more than anything, and don't you dare taking away his food from him or he will fight you and I will fight you too. Like Yoko once took George's digestive biscuit from him. George was so pissed that after the Beatles broke up he still couldn't forget.
Yoko sat in that very chair.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
Anyways, we're not only beware of don't crossing the line about George's food, we also understand why George is so done with everyone's bullshit and luck, so tired. Especially John and Paul are such a shiny twin. It leaves George as the ignored middle child. But deep down, George is a soft and spiritual boy who shine in his own way. Moments like George's laughing can literally cure my broken soul.
Only on to my front porch. It's so dumb.
My sweetie lordy, George is so fucking precious when he smiles. And I just wanna curl up for a while. Later, when the Beatles went to India for meditation, George left his heart in India and never come back. His songwriting style and lifestyle are greatly influenced by Indian culture. In fact, the idea of the Beatles going to India was encouraged by George's first wife Pattie Boyd. And yes, they were such a cute couple who share the spirituality of Indian culture. But they divorced in 1977 for some reasons which we don't want to talk about. So, coming back to the topic of George's song and lifestyle, I just want to say when he got the chance to include his songs in Beatles albums, he'll make sure he wrote all the 10 out of 10 songs he had, like the majestic emo song called While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and the calming therapeutic song Here Comes the Sun. For his lifestyle, I would like to let George speak for himself.
This is real life, you know, trees are growing and they give oxygen to the planet. They don't take it away like, you know, traffic jams. Sometimes I just feel I'm actually on the wrong planet, you know? And I feel great when I'm in my garden, but the moment I go out the gate, I think, what the hell am I doing here?
Bitch, I'm so relevant to this shit and I think George is my spirit animal. Sadly, George died on 29th of November 2001 because of lung cancer. But we all know if we blow a kiss to the air right now, we can feel George's spirit around and there's nothing bizarre and creepy about it. Hare Krishna. Last but not least, we have another most underappreciated member of the Beatles, Sir Richard Starkey, aka his stage name Ringo Starr. Ringo is drummer and the oldest Beatles, which nobody seems notice. But the fact is, Ringo is by far the coolest drummer I've known. And we should protect him at all cost. Ringo said he was born to play drums and he only wanted to play drums. Now, look at him playing those fucking drums. Professionally concentrated on doing his part while bandmates messed up. And tremendously distinctive that you will immediately know it's Ringo playing. That's some groovy beats right there and I'm fucking obsessed with Ringo's drumming style. So, if someone said Ringo is an average Beatles or lame drummer, you can show them this video, or I will help you on the debate. Besides, many people think Paul is the cute Beatle. But they forget Ringo is the ultimate kawaii Beatle who is cute in every way. If you want to question Ringo cuteness by pointing out his nose, then I would like to kindly ask you to leave. Anyways, from his stage name Ringo to his droopy puppy blue eyes, his sweet smile, to his cheekiness, I think Ringo is the most adorable lad I ever seen in my life. And did I mention almost 80-year-old Ringo who still spread peace and love every day and everywhere is more energetic than me? Also, Ringo is an official Beatles pacifier if I do say so myself. Ringo once left the recording session because he was just done with the other Beatles' shite crisis. But after a while, the other three Beatles started calling Ringo back because they want to keep recording with the best rock and roll drummer. And seriously, only Ringo the oldest brother can get his three fucking annoying egocentric little brothers together again. Not only the coming back of Ringo saved the band from crumbling into pieces, Ringo also brought back an idea of song which later became the cute and comforting song Octopus's Garden. Although Ringo seldom wrote songs, his deep and calming voice is definitely suitable for children's songs and lullabies. By the way, The Beatles' children's song Yellow Submarine, which sing by Ringo, is exactly one of the very few things I can remember from my vague childhood memory. So, you can tell how powerful Ringo's voice is. In conclusion, the Beatles is an epic rock and roll band which have the fabulous LGBT elements, including Lennon, George, bassist and the drummer. I'm not trying to be a 14-year-old girl here, but
We have happy accidents.
And yes, I don't have a favorite Beatle because I love them all perfectly equal, as all things should be. And to be honest, it is so fucking hard to choose your favorite thingy in the Beatles because all of their works are too good to pick a favorite. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this video and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.